Well, hello YouTube, Arizona RE here, and I thought I'd give you guys a quick reveal of my luggage. By now, most of you who follow me on Instagram know that I have the Givi Trekker luggage, and decided to go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about it. So, what made me go with the Givi Trekker luggage? Well, the Trekker Outback series was too expensive. The Triumph aluminum bags or aluminum cans, aluminum panniers, those were basically the Givi just stamped with Triumph logo. Well, those are so incredibly expensive, and I got this whole kit for half the price of what I would have been able to get just the side panniers for those others. So that's essentially why I went with it, but I gotta tell you, I don't think I sacrificed quality. These things are actually really nice. They are made of PVC and aluminum, and they really come with a lot of features. So what I have is I have the 33 liter on both sides and the 46 liter on top. It didn't originally work out that way. As you can see, there's a little bit more of an offset for the exhaust pipe and less of an offset on this side. So originally I thought put the 46 liter over on that side, and then they'd be balanced out. I'll just use my old top bag. But as it turned out, the 46 liter on that side actually created more of an offset over here than it did over here. And they don't have other sizes for these. So I like the way it looks with the 33 on both sides, and the 46, as it turns out, sits on top really well. I won't load it up too much because you don't want weight up high, but I will say this, I can throw my helmet in there with the motovlogging setup, camera on the front and everything. I can throw that in there and lock it. No joke. There's that much room. Let's take a look. These things are really easy to operate with a gloved hand. They pop right open. And open up on the inside. And right now I've gotten here is a set of gloves, but yes, my helmet will sit in here on the side, and you'd be able to stuff things in front and back of the helmet as well. So as you can see, I have this set up to clamshell, the typical setup, right? But these Givi Trekker series also comes with these little hooks right here that allow you to set it up so that it will clamshell open like this. In fact, that's how I have the side cases set up right now. Doing this all with one hand. So I kind of like having the side cases set up like this, because if you need to reach in and just grab something like a bottle of water or something that you're keeping in here, you can do that. And then not only that, but you can open it and access it without worrying about everything you have in there falling out. And I like leaving this one set to clamshell because when it's on top, I kind of like having all the access to load stuff in. It comes with these tethers right here to keep the lids from flying away. And it feels like real good quality too. It's got a double rubber gasket that goes all the way around. It claims that it's windproof and waterproof. I haven't been able to put that to the test yet. Again, one-handed operation. And another cool aspect of this, and this is something that wasn't going to be available with a lot of other sets. So I can take this can right here and use it up here as a top box if I want to. So I could take either one of these, all three of them, whichever one I want, and just pop it down on the top. So how cool is that? So maybe one day you go out and you don't need the full 46 liter top box, you just need one of those. Throw it up there. You need two 33 liters, snap them on either side, keep your tail bag on the luggage rack, and go for it. You going on a long tour, long trip, like going to Yellowstone, bang, this is your setup. Because now when you stop for gas, you go inside to use the bathroom, you can throw your helmet in the top and you don't have to worry about someone walking off with it hanging off of your hanging off of your handlebars, and you don't have to worry about setting it down in someone's discreet pool of urine in the bathroom. So that's awful nice, I think. Check this out. Again, one-handed operation here. Just like that, it comes off. Just like that. I got something else to show you. So as you saw earlier, you can take the rack off. Well, check this out. See these little nubs right here? They give you this special tool. You plug it in there, turn it, and wham, it comes off. Now there's, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points of contact here. So 5 of those quick disconnect tabs and your racks come completely off. All there are is this little black nub right here, this little black nub right here, and this little black nub right there. That's it. Nothing else to it. So it's pretty amazing. Pretty quick disconnect. In less than 2 minutes I can have all of this luggage off of here. And that to me is really awesome, because the way I'll use this and the way I use my bike, I don't want to ride around with a full set of luggage on here all the time when I don't need it. Which also brought me to another reason why I didn't want to throw out the cost of one of those expensive aluminum box sets. And one of the reasons is that if I'm only going to really use a full set of luggage, maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year, even if it's 5 times a year, I just, knowing the driving that I'm doing and the riding that I'm doing, if I'm being honest, I'm only going to be doing about 10% off-road, so I don't need the protection that those extra big boxes and full metal boxes will give me. So what it boils down to is, for the 3, 4, or 5 times a year that I'm actually going to load these up and use them, it didn't make sense for me to have something that cost almost a third of what the bike cost, just to use 3 or 4 times a year. So these things came in, I spent literally half as much as I would have spent on a Touratech kit or the Givi Trekker Outback series, and I got a fully removable, fully stowable, because I could even stow those racks inside the 46 liter when it's sitting on a shelf over here when I'm not using it. And then the other empty boxes I can put off-season motorcycle gear in. It stays dust-proof, waterproof. Toss it in there. You don't have to worry about spiders and scorpions climbing in it. Set it up on the shelf until you need to use the luggage. It's really just a good deal all the way around. So, so far so good with this set. I've had a pretty good experience with it. I've been riding around with it on the bike just because I wanted to experience what it was like having to park it, experience what the wind was like pushing it around. Amazingly enough, I did not, on this bike, the Tiger 800, I really don't notice them back there at all once you're on the bike. Now, there's no lane splitting here in Arizona, so if that's an issue for you, you may want to stick with a top box only. But around here, it's not an issue, and I didn't notice any difference at all. In fact, we had some pretty windy days where it was upwards of 45 miles an hour, and even at that, 45 miles an hour, it just never felt like it was being blown around anymore. Even though it obviously has a higher profile, it just never felt that way. So pretty good. That included being up on the interstate and being around a bunch of trucks that were buffeting and everything like that, and it just runs smooth. So with this luggage on here, it really feels like nothing. Obviously when it's loaded up, that's going to change the riding characteristics, but for those of you that may have been wondering whether or not it creates a lot more wind drag, I would say no. Let's see. So those are all the things I really like about the luggage. It's really light. I don't feel like I have to worry about the exhaust too much because it does have the extra gap. Plus, remember when I did the Leo Vinci exhaust, and I'll post up a link to that here, the Leo Vinci exhaust is in carbon fiber, so with the carbon, even when it's hot, you can pretty much touch this and not leave any skin behind. So that helps to not transfer heat over to the pannier as well, which is really, really good. So let's get to some of the headaches with it. I can go ahead and tell you some of the headaches. It's not that big a deal. I'm not too prideful to admit when something isn't perfect. And part of it's just me. I haven't gotten used to throwing my leg over this big old hulking mammoth-sized bike. It's the biggest bike easily I've had to throw a leg over. And one of the things is I constantly kick it with my foot, and I leave little scuffs on it. For example, right up here, there's a scuff. And it looks like it'll come up pretty easy. It doesn't look like it's permanent or anything like that, but it kind of takes some licking. I'm not too worried about it because honestly, if it just looks like it's being used, I can live with that. But that is one aspect that it takes getting used to. Yeah, here's another one here. There's little bits of my boot that I've been leaving all over this kit, but if you scratch at it, you can see that it starts to flake off. So there's that. The other thing is they give you these little rubber nubs to put underneath the top box, and those little nubs, they do a great job. I don't know if you can see them in there, from keeping this from rattling. Now my keys are on there right now, so they might. You see, I'm pulling on that and I'm bouncing it up and down, and it doesn't make any noise. But the weird thing is, when I'm riding through town, regardless of how much I tighten everything down, the crappy roads here in Tucson, I keep hearing this rattling sound. And I'll try and demonstrate it for you right now. There, you can kind of hear it. This little bit of a rattling noise. So I don't know what that is. It sounds almost as though it's coming from inside here where the locking mechanism is. I don't know what it is. I can just barely hear it. It's barely audible. It might just be the nature of things. Someone on the forum said that when everything's locked down, that there's a little return spring that sits underneath this button right here, and it's at rest, so it tends to make that noise. That might well be the case. I don't know, I haven't had it open to look at it. If that's the case, I may put some heat shrink on it and not heat it up and shrink it, and just see if that doesn't cushion it so it doesn't rattle around. I know, I'm being stupid picky. Let's see, what else? Oh, another gripe. Hey, Givi. Hey, I got an idea. When you sell these kits in the United States, maybe include some, I don't know, English language instructions with them. Hear me out, folks. Hear me out. I'm not one of these arrogant Americans that thinks that, hey, everything should come in English so that we can read it. I'm not like that. But just hear me out. When 2/3 of the world's expendable income is spent in English-speaking countries, you might ought to include that in something, those instructions in English, in something like this. That's all I'm saying. Now, all that being said, the illustrations in the book were easy enough to follow. I call them redneck easy. You know, if a redneck looked at it, they'd probably be able to follow it. No offense to all my rednecks out there. I'm not too far from having been one myself. Lived in Wetumpka, Alabama for a good long time, so don't hate. At any rate, those are the only gripes so far. We'll see how they hold up in the long run, but so far they're looking good. And yeah, you know what? I was afraid that since they weren't going to be the kit that I had originally envisioned myself getting, that they were not going to go well with the bike. But know what? They do. They go really well with the bike. In fact, I'm going to close out with some pictures of it. That's my review and reveal of my Givi Trekker luggage, and it's a beaut. Can't wait for the long trips. Bye-bye.